More reaction. We're joined via Skype by Lucky Ntimane, representing the National Liquor Traders Council. A very good evening to you. Probably doesn't feel like a good evening at all. I should imagine that this is going to have a devastating impact on the industry.
Yes, and good evening to eNCA viewers at home. Look, this has taken us by shock, and we really take exception to the banning of alcohol without consultation once again. This is a hard pill for us to swallow. I would like to send a message to our liquor traders, also to the restaurants. You know, the worker who has ironed his uniform, ready to go to work tomorrow, a liquor trader who will not be able to open their doors in the morning because there is really nothing that is going to happen, the livelihoods that are now at stake. But importantly, let me send the condolences of all the lives that were lost due to COVID-19. I, for one, had to bury my sister these past 4 days because of COVID-19. This is a very serious matter of COVID that we all are facing. But we do believe that other measures should have been considered rather than the ban on alcohol, which is going to put our people in impact with poverty that we cannot avoid. For the president to say that we've got 14 days to prepare to deal with the third wave, when he had a full year and he has failed dismally to deal with the pandemic, is really disingenuous. We are worried that as the talk goes, the higher the number, the higher the corruption. We are on level 4. Let's see what will happen. But we are really dealing with a government that doesn't really care about the livelihoods of most especially black people in this country. We are very concerned.
Lucky, so sorry for your loss, and to hear that. Our condolences to you and your family. You know, the thing about job losses, we always talk about it in general, but the reality is that people will not be able to pay their bills, they will not be able to feed their children. People are going to have to go to bed hungry. What are you estimating these 2 weeks are going to be for workers who could lose their jobs? What are the numbers?
The numbers are dire. If you look at the tavern setup, the tavern setup is meant to be a hand-to-mouth type of an enterprise. If you close a tavern for a period exceeding 48 hours, that tavern owner and the family and all the jobs that are dependent on that tavern will not be able to be sustained. We are very worried that this decision was taken for us, without us. We tried to reach out to government and we ignored. But we are grateful to Premier Alan Winde for listening to us and really taking our cause forward. We acknowledge the work that he's continuing to do to support liquor traders. And also the extension must go to the Premier of Gauteng as well as the Eastern Cape. But we feel let down by this government that continues to ignore the plight of our people. We feel that it's about time that government levels with us and really take a scientific approach that will ensure that we're able to balance the issue of lives and livelihoods. We've been hearing, from various medical experts who are pushing the issue of lives, which we fully respect. But we must understand that in making those calls, they are also in their livelihood space because they get paid by doing that. We're saying, let us consider the lives of our people that are affected by this decision. Almost 250,000 people are not going to go to work tomorrow. The president is going to go to work with his cabinet. That has no clue what is happening on the ground because they live in high chairs. We want to really make an plea to the president to say, level with us. You really need to start listening to the people on the ground. It's not going to help that you make decisions that have no bearing on reality on the ground of our people. We now have to wake up tomorrow morning with a future cut, with poverty a certainty for our people. It is really not fair. We cannot be subjected to this.
And Lucky, I should imagine it makes it a little more painful, a lot more painful, knowing that this is just great news for the illicit alcohol industry.
Yes, certainly, Jane. The alcohol industry has estimated that almost 10% of the alcohol industry is made up of the illicit trade, which is 20 billion rand on an annual basis. Those people are now going to celebrate, and they'll hit the road running tomorrow. Alcohol is going to be available. The fact that the president has banned alcohol doesn't mean that alcohol will not be available going forward. So people are still going to access alcohol. People are still going to consume alcohol for the next 14 weeks. So this is really not a decision that is aimed at curtailing, the issue that the president highlighted as to ensure that we're able to save the issue of beds. If the president was really concerned about the issue of beds, they would have invested in a hospital or even beds. There isn't any single hospital that the government has built in the past year. So it is very disingenuous for him to come and say that, we need to be able to support the issue of beds. He is lying to the country. and he needs to come clean. And we'll hold him to account for his legacy of ignoring black people in this country, especially the small black-owned businesses.
Yeah, we're going to leave it right there. Lucky Ntimane, representing the National Liquor Traders Council. Thank you for your time and your input. It's a tough one, right? I mean, you know, the reality is you see people gather abusing alcohol, you know, flouting the restrictions that were in place. And this is why the president said, we don't want this to happen. No. We have to stop it. But then people are going to lose their jobs. Yeah. They're not going to be able to feed their kids.
And we also know that alcohol leads to many accidents, taking up hospital beds. So it really, I mean, that is one of the hardest, isn't it, to balance. And, again, no help, no handouts.
It's such a sad situation we see ourselves in. Vaccines, vaccines, vaccines. We won't be here if we had more vaccines.
We can't beg people to come and see our beautiful landscape if we don't vaccinate people. We need that.